Hi, my name's Hannah Farwell. This is my first journal entry. So this one's based on the 7 dimensions of wellness. Just to go over what those dimensions are, the social wellness dimension addresses an individual's ability to not only interact with others, but that an individual has a supportive group of friends and family involved in their life. Spiritual wellness refers to that individual's moral compass and ingrained beliefs. Emotional wellness addresses an individual's ability to manage stress and anxiety. Physical wellness addresses their pursuit of physical health through regular exercise and abstinence from substances and foods that can negatively affect the body. Intellectual wellness refers to an individual's consistent pursuit of knowledge and growth over the course of their lifetime. Environmental wellness addresses the surroundings among which a person places themselves. And finally, occupational wellness refers to the way a person balances various responsibilities like work and school. So all these components definitely work together, and when one suffers, I know the others can suffer as well. And as I'll mention again later, I think balance is the key. So after doing the assessment in the textbook, I was most surprised at my overall score, and specifically my markings on the nutritional assessment section. I had a perception of myself, I think, that I was going to be below average on the overall score, particularly that nutritional portion. But I actually ended up with a pretty high average score of 74. And after the nutritional portion, I actually consume a fairly balanced and healthy diet. So this definitely made me feel like small adjustments in some of the other areas that I'm weaker at could increase my overall health. So now to address those 3 areas that I am weaker at, and how some of those lifestyle factors that I practice can lead to these weaknesses. I can definitely identify the 3 weakest dimensions of my wellness are occupational, physical, and social. I have a really busy job that I actually really enjoy, but this doesn't mean that I feel like I've achieved wellness in the occupational portion of my life. I tend to struggle with leaving work at work, so I often stay up at night thinking of what needs to be accomplished tomorrow. I feel like I can't turn my brain off. So I know this is also tied into my other weaknesses, the physical and social components. I need to find ways to build in time to be more physically active, since this is very rare for me these days. And I don't have a lot of times to do things with friends. I think I'm so tired by the time I get home from work that all I really want to do is either focus on getting homework done and then relax, or just go straight into relaxation mode. But I really need to build in time to do some physical activity every day. And in fact, I think, I don't have very many friends in my life at this point. That's kind of the social component. Things like exercise actually not only helps, I think, to give me a better physical health standard, but can be a great way to de-stress from work when I am feeling overwhelmed, perhaps even meet people at a gym or in exercise classes. So I think in general, building in exercise might put me on a better rhythm to my day, help me cook better at home, plan ahead for my meals rather than opting for the less healthy choices, fast food, things that are easy after work. So generally speaking, I really do need to build in time for myself separate from work life, so that I'm doing things other than just relaxing, but actually building in exercise, making sure I'm fostering relationships with friends and family. So that's definitely something I can work on. Now on to the strongest components of my wellness. I think I do a pretty good job of maintaining the intellectual, spiritual, and emotional components. So naturally, by being in school, I am stimulating that intellectual side of my brain. But even more than that, I do enjoy reading a great bit. I actually have personal interests, sort of faith-based interests in Buddhism. And I also had a prior major that I almost completed in religious studies. So I have a lot of books, scholarly books, that I actually enjoy reading. So that definitely helps me with my intellectual and somewhat in my spiritual way as well. My emotional wellness, I have struggled with that in the past. I actually have had some pretty severe bouts of depression. But as a part of the constant work that I do to maintain a healthy emotional mind, I've actually learned lots of different tools, but they all sort of revolve around identifying when I'm feeling that way, when I'm feeling a bout of that coming on. I actually, talking about it with friends and family, in particular, vocalizing those feelings, helps me to put them out. And it helps me to prevent myself from retreating, which is sort of a typical manifestation or pattern for me when I do feel depression. So that, in conjunction with participating in therapy as needed, has always been a good thing for me. And I feel like at this point in my life, I'm in a really good, emotional, healthy place. So to say all of that, just to sum it up, I have learned that I think wellness really is balance. So specifically feeling balanced in sort of all the aspects of your life. And I think at times it can be really hard. I'm not really sure that you can be balanced 100% of the time, although there are some that are better at it than others. But I do think that wellness happens when we can identify the inevitable and often changing places in our lives that might become unstable or lopsided, and then try to maintain a consistent state of self-reflection where we can kind of gently pull ourselves back to that state of balance. So if we do it right, we reap a lot of benefits from that. And then just in terms of one way that I can improve, I actually mentioned some weak spots earlier in my journal entry here, but the one dimension that I haven't mentioned is the one I actually want to address in this case. So the environmental aspect of wellness. I think it's important because I'm actually trying to address that now in my life. So this is kind of a nice way to continue along with that. I feel like the effects of an unhealthy environment can be really, really negative on a person. With a busy schedule, sometimes I tend to let the cleanliness of my house or my vehicle get away from me and, focus on what I feel like at the time are more pressing concerns. But what I find is that a lot of the time that ends up stressing me out more, making me feel less in control of the other things that take my attention. So when it's unorganized or unclean, I feel like there's a lot of subconscious anxiety and stress that comes from that. So it's definitely become clear to me over the past few months that, a car or a house that smells good, that's clean, that's organized, all of those things really contribute to me personally being a happy person when my environment, fosters those feelings. So I definitely will be working in the coming weeks to stay on top of that. I've identified just sort of daily staying on top of the little things so it doesn't build up is definitely the ticket for me. It's the sort of day-to-day maintenance that's going to help me achieve that wellness. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.